are this weekend also reacting to the party's worst election result since 1935 and trying to work out where they go next. Well, on Thursday night, Caroline Flint lost her seat in Don Valley to the Conservatives, and she joins us now. Devastating result, of course, for Labour. The seat that you represented, Don Valley, has been Labour since 1922, and yet this week it turned blue. Why do you think that happened? Blythe Valley, which has never been anything other than Labour, these real former heartlands voting for the Conservative Party. Do you feel that some of your colleagues really understand the concerns of some of those former Labour voters in your areas? Or do you think that perhaps there's almost the views of some of these working class communities are almost looked at with a bit of distaste?
Yes. We didn't heed the warning signs in 2017 when we lost places like Mansfield, who's the majority for the Tory candidate there has increased enormously. We ignored it, but we also ignored it back in 2010 and 2015. This has been brewing for some time, and I think in many respects our party, the balance in terms of the voices that are heard has gone too much towards the metropolitan cities and university towns and away from these core areas, and it breaks my heart
you seem
to
quite
see what's happened.
You seem quite emotional.
I am emotional about it. I'm emotional. I'm trying to stem my anger, Sophie, in all of this. But I am emotional because I do believe that in the pursuit of Remain, a number of people who have been ardent Remainers in our party, on our front bench, people like Keir Starmer, people like Emily Thornberry, but many others, Hilary Benn, Yvette Cooper, they have contributed to sacrificing 59 seats. I think I said 40 we would lose if we pursued this strategy. 59 seats. But don't worry, we've got Putney and we've got Canterbury. With all due respect to the Labour MPs for those constituencies, I don't believe that was worth it.
You name-check Sir Keir Starmer and Emily Thornberry there, two people who are expected to run for the leadership of the party. What do you think would happen if either of those two people or similar Remain supporting people from metropolitan seats, if someone of that background became the next leader of the Labour Party?
I don't believe anybody who have been the architects of our European policy in the last few years, I think is credible to be leader. I don't think they can win back these seats. And we may not, I'm afraid to say, take it, we shouldn't take it for granted that a change of leader is going to win us in 5 years' time, if that's when the election is called. But I don't believe there's any credibility for these people. Keir Starmer led us to a policy that did not listen to Labour Leave voices who urged caution. He led us down the path of a second referendum, and I'm afraid Emily Thornberry did as well. She said to one of my colleagues, I'm glad my constituents aren't as stupid as yours. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable. And therefore we're going to have to really look at what might make a candidate for leader who can at least steer us to a better place over the next few years. But we shouldn't for 1 minute think that a change of leader is going to create an election victory for us. It's about Brexit, but it is wider than that. The policy platform that we had was offering everything to everybody, and whilst many of those policies were popular, there was an underlying scepticism amongst my voters about whether actually Labour could deliver, and I think that was felt through other parts of the country as well. But this is a terrible time for the Labour Party and for the Labour movement.
We're in a period of reflection for the Labour Party that Jeremy Corbyn says he wants to lead the party through before having that leadership race. He's written today in the Sunday Mirror and also in the Observer saying that on austerity and inequality we won the arguments. He blamed Brexit, he blamed the media coverage and also falsehoods from the Conservative Party for the pretty devastating defeat. Do you think that he's taking enough personal responsibility?
No. No. Look, I've said a number of times now, and I feel like, sort of an ancient in all of this. I've been in the Labour Party 40 years. Running out the crack record that we just blame the media for everything is pointless. It's absolutely pointless. Labour wins elections when the public have a leader they can trust and believe in, and a vision that they're willing to buy into. And on both counts, that clearly wasn't the case. And part of our problem is that in 2017, Corbyn and those who were surrounding him were so off the planet in terms of thinking that we'd won that election. And obviously we didn't, because he wasn't Prime Minister. But they refused to look at the underlying problems that were out there. I mean, interestingly, Sophie, I've thought about this quite a lot over the last couple of days. Theresa May did not have a good general election, but she sowed the seeds in reducing majorities in my seat and elsewhere that allowed Boris Johnson to come in and pick up those 59 seats. And in many respects, the election we've just had is probably the election that Theresa May probably wanted back in 2017. No, we win elections when we've got a leader people can trust and believe in and a vision they can buy into. And whilst some of our policies were popular, they just didn't think it was believable. You know, free childcare, free dental, free broadband, and free movement. I mean, it was all free. And, you know, working class people are, you know, are wised up to that sort of thing. And it's quite clear they didn't believe it either.
Who do you think should be the next leader of the Labour Party then?
I don't think it should be anybody who has hand-to-hand in our Brexit strategy over the last few years. I don't think it can be Corbyn without a beard. I think that would be the wrong move as well. Obviously, we'll see some probably more runners and riders come out of this. The only two candidates at the moment, I think, are worth looking at are Lisa Nandy and Rebecca Long-Bailey. But they've got a lot to prove as well. But for goodness sake, I entreat my party, we seriously have to look at why we lost this last election, but look deeper than that. Look deeper at the disconnect with our working class base, our working class voters. And it's a northern issue, but do you know what? It's also elsewhere in the country too. 40% of Londoners voted Leave in 2016. I imagine that a substantial proportion of them were working class families who also didn't buy into the European project in a very similar ways to the families in Don Valley and elsewhere. And that's really it, really. We've lost a connection between ourselves and those voters and their values and what they believe in. And Labour's got to start building a better relationship, otherwise it will never win.
OK, Caroline Flint, thank you very much for being on the show today. Caroline Flint there, MP for Don Valley for 22 years before losing her seat at that last election. Well, listening to